Hey everybody, welcome to Hit Rewind. We are now towards the end of the 1998 season. I'm Michael, that's Jacob.
Hey, everybody.
So this is like the last handful of movies from the year. 1998, 99, I don't feel like it's the same way it was like at the beginning of the 90s where we had like 6 episodes. We just had such a plethora of fantastic movies. I feel like it's dipping down a little bit right now.
Well, yeah, going into 1998, yeah. But, however, there was great quality in the ones that we did get from 98.
Yeah, one of them is very questionable. We might as well start off with the first one, which is very polarizing with anybody. But Jacob, I'm not going to say because I'm not going to do your dirty work for you. No more. Oh, yeah.
Exactly. I was like, no, not Steely Dan. Please don't sue.
Yeah, dirty work. Dirty work. It's the closest thing to a sequel to Billy Madison in attitude and style and cast.
Oh, pretty much, yeah. Because, again, yeah, Norm MacDonald, SNL alumni, friends with Adam Sandler. Of course, it was cute seeing, it was really funny seeing that little cameo he did later.
Burn! We're gonna burn!
The pig and then together we burn! all because they were just about to make me some money and trying these experimental brownies. And Norm MacDonald's the only one who got all the bad side effects.
Yeah. Well, later. Yeah, so same production team, Robert Simmons, and they got Fred Wolf in, who was the writer of Tommy Boy and Black Sheep. Later go on to be a director, but you can see, they bring in a lot of people who knew Norm was hip. He was not a mainstream comedian. The fact that he got to be on SNL at all shows like the ear that Lorne Michaels has for unusual voices in comedy. And probably the most controversial host, I would say. Either you loved him or you just didn't care for his presence. Not like Colin Quinn, where basically nobody liked him, his replacement, and even Colin seemed like he was uncomfortable. And it's just one of those things where he had this rhythm, this style, almost anti-joke kind of quality to him. Like his Frank Stallone jokes, and Germans love Hasselhoff and all the OJ jokes and stuff like that.
Oh, when it came to Weekend Update?
Yeah. So he kind of set the tone here. This taps into a lot of the persona that he built on SNL, especially the talking into the tape recorder. Note to self, which I still say today because of this movie.
Exactly. Pretty much. Oh, man. But I just love that opening scene where he does pretty much has a setup for his character where he's a smartass.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what.
It's almost anti-acting is what he's doing. He knows he cannot act. So he's kind of leaning into it. It's not even the point. It's kind of like the way Freddy Got Fingered is, where it's just a vehicle for the jokes. The acting, the story is beside the point.
Pretty much, yeah. You're just more focused on the shenanigans that occur.
Yeah, like Bad Grandpa, those kind of things where it's just like, we just need some sort of plot to move it along so we can, get set pieces going.
Pretty much, yeah. Oh, God. Especially when there's a running gag where Norm MacDonald's character almost gets thrown out of almost pretty much anywhere, whether it's into a garbage can, out of, a large building, or through a freaking window.
Yeah. Artie Lang in this is kind of the cliche funny fat guy. The Chris Farley, I guess, is what they're trying to pigeon. So the next year he would be David Spade's sidekick in Lost and Found. It's kind of a thing that he did for a little bit. He and Norm really hit it off. So did Jack Ward. All of them would reunite on his TV show, The Norm Show, which is absolutely fucking brilliant. A horribly underrated TV show.
No, oh God, I definitely remember seeing a lot of ads for it. Of course, I couldn't stay up so late when it would air.
Oh, that's right. You're super young. Yeah, it was part of the Drew Carey block. Same guy that created it.
Yeah, but man, again, yeah, Artie Lang as like a sidekick definitely had some good setup jokes as well.
Yeah. I think they must have known there was a slim chance this was going to be a hit, but then you wanted to find some new comedic voice that was cheaper. And they said, well, fuck, Billy Madison made a bunch of money on, in theaters and video. And that was a weird ass movie that had a very particular voice. So I can see where they're going.
Yeah. And of course, this was also like one of Chris Farley's last performances.
The hooker bit off my nose.
Oh, God. And then at the end, he marries her, and then she does it again when he pisses her off.
Yeah. Apparently the script was much darker in the beginning. It was very R-rated, and that's kind of why a lot of these people showed up, especially Chevy Chase. But MGM got nervous. It's a summer release, and, they wanted to trim it down to a PG-13. So I'm curious if there is another cut out there somewhere.
Yeah, that does make me curious. And yeah, Chevy Chase's presence. Oh God, he's not even really trying to hide it. Like you can tell he's like you can tell he's like a bit of a salesman, like from the very beginning.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
he
yeah.
tells about his dad's heart condition, but he says he can sell him a hospital bed for $500, and trying to haggle with him.
Yeah, it's very interesting, like just setting up pranks, and stuff to get them. And it's a very, very short movie. It's like 80 minutes long. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's I can't really say much about it. That's not no nor if you like Norm Macdonald and his style, there you go. It's very dry, very punk rock, I guess, when it comes to comedy.
oh yeah, oh man, and then when they're getting that building condemned, even the little running gag about he sees about finding Sean Connery attractive. He sees the like Sean Connery
Oh,
baseball
yeah,
poster,
yeah,
he
yeah.
takes it.
Well, and there's the whole gag with the guys that were in Billy Madison, the principal, and then the Fred Wolf and the other guy, and they're always standing outside of the offices. And there's just something so funny about like these obviously like, blue collar or white collar kind of guys that are somehow kicked out of the street and they're still just absolutely fucking disgusting. I love it when they're walking through the opera house at the end. He goes, "Did you fart?" "Oh, no, I farted." And then he walks in and goes, "Did you fart?" "Oh, wait, no, it's from when I farted earlier." Or what is the guy's name? He was the head writer of SNL for a while, and he keeps going on these long-winded stories, which reminded me of his bits on SNL, and everybody would just leave in the middle. Oh, Jim Downey. That's it, Jim Downey.
Yes. Oh god. Yeah. No. And I would see him appear in like a bunch of Sandler films or anybody or Joe Dirt even.
Yeah, I
As
think
well.
he ran the writer's room for about 8 years, I think, on SNL. Left in the, like, 88 to 96, I believe he was the head writer. Yeah, not a household name, but if you know SNL, you know him. Yeah, nothing else I really say about it. It's just a really fast, fun. I prefer comedies that fail, but have a very particular voice instead of being a generic for everybody kind of movie.
Precisely. Yeah. No. Dirty Work was that kind of movie. Oh god. Especially with how it ended. Norm Macdonald just narrating. Yeah. It's kind of a happy ending, but then Chevy Chase's character not only he did pay off his bookie, but he got beat to death anyway.
Yeah, I love how they're so matter of fact. Some of the jokes are. It's like, "There's a picture of you with my mother in bed having sex."
It's like, and then yeah, that was part of the plot where like Norm Macdonald and Artie Lang are like brothers. And
Yeah.
he's like, "You cheated on mom." He's like, "No, she was there. Who do you think took the picture?"
All right. What? Oh, directed by Bob Saget, by the way. Rest in peace. Oh man, shit. Norm Macdonald's gone. Jack Warden's gone. Bob. Wow, that's a lot of cast members. Chris is gone. That sucks.
I know. Yeah, no, it is. And again, Chris Farley for me was definitely, especially since Tommy Boy and SNL, has always been like one of the funniest people in any movie for me.
Yeah.
I loved his little skunk joke. He's like, when they say in the land of the blind, the man with one eye is king, but in the land of the skunks, the man with half a nose is
I love at the end when he's like, "And you bit off my nose again." Just as the credits are running roll.
$200 on a new nose implant, no less.
All right, what is next?
Okay, next one is. Oh my gosh, I lost my place. My bad. Sorry. Technical difficulties. What was the one after that?
Well, let's just go Fear and Loathing.
Yes. Oh, that was it. That was
Oh,
it. That's what I watched after.
yay! Hey, Fear and Loathing. When someone says, "What is your favorite horror comedy?" Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas has to be discussed because while there are no supernatural monsters, serial killers, these two are fucking horrific in different ways. This movie is terrifying. Absolutely fucking terrifying and trippy and weird and absolutely goddamn hilarious.
Oh, absolutely. I know. I mean, it being a Terry Gilliam film was one thing, and then it, of course, being based on the novel by Hunter S. Thompson. Yeah, it was all just one big acid trip. Heck, that opening line itself, it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's now there.
Vegas, and when the drums began to take hold.
There is a version of this from 1980 I still have never seen with Bill Murray and Peter Boyle, Where the Buffalo Roam. Have you seen this? Okay.
Shit, what?
Yeah, so 1980, right after between Meatballs and Stripes, he did Where the Buffalo Roam, and someday I'm going to get a copy of it so that we can watch this because that's the first story about Hunter S. Thompson. It's almost the same exact plot. Again, huge failure. Critics hated it, but there's a cult following around it. And what I love about this movie is that, again, it's punk rock. It's in your face. It's no holds barred. These are some of the best performances I've ever fucking seen. Benicio del Toro is off the charts good. And Johnny Depp, now his eccentric behavior had already kind of been, in some of his movies you saw. And then, of course, after Pirates of the Caribbean, it went fucking bananas. This beats all of it. This is such an insane performance.
Oh my god, I know. Seriously, it would happen to me at times, especially when he's hopping up on like ether or something, and it's like twitching all over the place, and he sees Vern Troyer collecting money.
Oh yeah,
what's the or like pretty much even the simplest task was so hard for him to do.
Yeah, well, when he's like he's just going to
or like God, or when they're picking up the hitchhiker, Tobey Maguire. Oh my god, yeah, a lot of up and comers in this movie. Tobey Maguire. I mean, Christina Ricci was already well established.
Yeah.
But man, all the different faces you'd see.
So many cameos. I'm wondering how they got so many cameos. They probably said, hey, you want to do a day on a Terry Gilliam film? And of course, he's coming off of The Fisher King and 12 Monkeys, huge hits, Oscar nominated, very successful. So they're probably, yeah, you know what? Fuck yeah, I'll come in for a day and do this weird movie. And it's the character's Raul Duke, but it really is just Hunter S. Thompson under a pseudonym. I have his biography, I got to get cracking on it. And when I saw this movie, I became fascinated with it, and I would walk around like Hunter with a pen in my mouth, wearing a bucket hat and pretending to be. No, seriously, I would do it to all my friends for hours, just walking around campus and stuff like that, and just weirding them out. But I absolutely love his character. It's so weird. The only problem is he really is, he is afraid of Dr. Gonzo, but also he's a little passive in putting his foot down. And and Johnny really does say so much with his eyes. The horrifying scene in the restaurant when Dr. Gonzo is asking for backdoor sex with Ellen Barkin, and it absolutely just breaks her. And then he, acts like a freak show for the piece of pie and the knife and stuff like that. And he's trying to apologize. He doesn't say a single word, but he apologizes by just giving her a look. And I thought that was such a good performance.
No, yes, absolutely, man. Or near the end of the movie when he has to get, Benicio del Toro to the airport, he's like, "I never missed a flight," and he just cuts right through all the traffic. But man, some of the scenes that would pop up, where he's tripping on drugs, sees Benicio del Toro as demonic entity, and then just waking up and being covered in this weird reptile outfit.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it's
and then seeing that hotel room, it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, there's not a real plot. There is just him in Vegas. He's supposed to be covering this race. And then there's a secondary plot where he has to go to another event and the destruction. It's so weird to me that he would go down these roads when he clearly sees the problem. And I don't understand why, when he recognizes this is dangerous, that we could go to jail, that we're going to get all this stuff. And yet he continues and continues. It's so bizarre.
Absolutely. Yeah. He skips out on paying the tab and everything, because I mean, when he's booked in, it's under a pseudonym, but
and
this in itself is an acid trip.
It reminds me a lot of On the Road, where he was very passive, watching the self-destructive behavior of his friends and constantly going back and forth and kind of being on the run and stuff like that. It's kind of like a more demented version of On the Road. So that's kind of your jam, but it's more experimental. It's definitely got Gilliam's flavor all over this. Visually not as dynamite to say some of Brothers Grimm or Brazil and stuff like that, Munchausen, but it's still a very well shot, very well paced movie. And God damn it, it's funny. I just giggling through the whole thing.
I know, but jeez.
I'm guaranteeing you.
That first hotel though, Benicio del Toro did freak me out a bit.
Gary Busey. I am guaranteeing you that he improv that whole thing, because when he goes in for a kiss, that is 100% not expected at all. And that feels like a Gary Busey thing to do.
Yeah. And again, Johnny Depp already kind of freaking out because he's getting pulled over, but even more so, because it's Gary Busey.
I love that he tries to outrace him and then realizes, you know what, this isn't going to happen, then pulls over just as if there's nothing wrong. He's like, oh, sorry, sir. Were you following me? Oh, okay, well, let's take care of this. Like, what the fuck?
No, again, yeah, it being Terry Gilliam, yeah, it's definitely, I find it to be one of his best.
Yeah, I think it's so funny as they open this up against Godzilla as kind of like an alternative to Godzilla, but yet there's so many little nods almost in a way to Godzilla with the lizard and the dinosaurs and stuff.
Oh, God, yeah, no, for real. Jeez.
All right, what is our next film?
That does make sense. Our next film, oh, God, this is where people could start taking Jim Carrey more seriously.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The Truman Show. Oh, my God.
Yeah, you see bits and pieces in Dumb and Dumber, you know, the part where he tells Harry that he's tired of eking his way through life. You know, there's a real sadness to that. And there's a little bit in The Mask. But other than that, he had been really in your face of not, oh, no, I'm sorry, Cable Guy, fuck. I'm curious what it is that the director saw, Peter Weir saw in Jim Carrey of all people to do this. He does some Jim Carrey big performance, but he must have seen something somewhere that, you know, said, oh, this is the guy.
Yeah. Maybe it was because of like his backstory, how he was like taking care of his mom and
maybe. I
you
know,
know, starting up in stand-up comedian.
I know before he did Ace Ventura, I want to say it was summer 92 on Fox. It was a big TV movie called Doing Time on Maple Drive, which was a drama, and Jim Carrey was critically acclaimed for that. He might have seen him in that. I still never seen that movie. Have you?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
But if anything, this is what Peter Weir was able to see his potential. He wanted to go further with that.
Yeah.
Because he's already well known and people, you know, watch almost anything he's in at this time. And yeah, no, my God.
You have
to sympathize with him the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, we as the audience know his whole life's pretty much just a show.
You know what I'm thinking? I forgot. Peter Weir directed The World According to Garp with Robin Williams. And he must have seen something in Robin there as well. So that probably put in his head that he can cast certain comedians in dramatic roles.
Oh yeah, no, he's right. Well, especially when you see Robin Williams.
Yeah, by this point, he's done. Yeah, by this point, Robin Williams has done a bunch of dramatic work. So that definitely probably helped Jim Carrey. But yeah, it's fascinating the work that goes into building this world. But also, like, you have to let go as a viewer that they would build this in the middle of a city. Yes, they build football stadiums, but this is like 10, 15 football stadiums. This thing is a massive beast in the middle of a city. And I feel like now, if you were to buy it, you would have to do it like in the desert or something, right?
Yeah, somewhere where it's like, you know, very secluded. Wouldn't have to interfere too much with population.
Yeah.
But fuck.
But like, because also it would have kept people, because there's a whole plot point of people constantly getting in and trying to expose that world when he's a baby. But the manipulation, the psychotic behavior, the fact that he's like, the baby is owned by the station or the company or whatever, that's a fucked up immoral thing to do. And the fact that when he's trying to escape, that there's this whole thing about I brought him into this world and I can take him out is fucking insane. And Paul Giamatti, I can't believe Paul Giamatti's character just sat there and let it happen. He said something, but I would have got up and punched the guy in the fucking throat, you know?
Yes. I mean, again, Ed Harris was definitely the biggest manipulator, especially like right at the end where he's giving him that whole speech, like how much he's brought joy to the world. But at the same time, the world wants to see him be free.
Yeah. Not in reading the room at all. But yeah, it's such a wonderful performance by everybody. And there's actually there's a moment in this movie where it almost turns horror movie-ish when he's losing his mind and he threatens his wife, quotation marks, you know, and he's on the run. There's something so scary about all of it. It goes from lighthearted comedy to mystery to existential crisis to horror movie to survivalist. It's a very fascinating movie.
Absolutely, yeah, from beginning to end. And I love how Jim Carrey ends it with I think it's the first phrase in the morning. Yeah, good morning. If I don't see you later, good afternoon and good evening and good night.
Yeah, and the fact that they ended it right there is exactly where they needed to end it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was a big performance. And then, of course, those two security guards. All right, let's see what else is on.
Yeah. I'm curious as to why this is the only one of Jim Carrey's dramatic roles that connected to people. Why?
Not even Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
It didn't make that much money. It critically acclaimed, but it only made like 34 million. Man on the Moon, critically acclaimed, again made like 30 million. The Majestic bombed. What's that Numbers movie? The number 23 bombed. All of his dramatic work tanked, except for Truman Show. And Truman Show was a phenomenon. It made like 500 million worldwide. It was huge.
Oh, geez, just the concept alone. I mean, if you were to adjust that to numbers these days, that'd be
Yeah,
amazing.
maybe it is the concept and not so much just the performance. Maybe the concepts for the other ones just weren't big enough, unique enough.
Right.
Yeah, because
Again, that does not take away from like how
no,
great
no,
Jim Carrey was.
yeah, I'm just curious about why that one worked and then the others didn't. But a truly amazing film that you have to see.
Absolutely. And again, throughout the movie, there was some definitive, obvious product placement
Yeah,
within the film, of course, not the actual products on the outside.
those product placements were so ridiculous. Him constantly walking around with a beer and her just stopping in the middle of stuff and talking about like product placement. He's like, "What are you even doing? What are you talking about? What?"
It's like, why does like what? Why do I have to know those details?
Yeah, wasn't it?
And the way she speaks it, man. Oh, this one was definitely something from my childhood that I loved, and of course, it being a Joe Dante film, honestly makes it makes more sense as to why it gets so dark and gritty.
Yeah.
Small Soldiers.
It started off darker than what you even saw. They had to trim back because they were afraid, but they still had issues because when this movie was sold to people like Burger King and stuff like that and toy distributors, that it was sold to be a PG movie, but they just could not edit it down to a PG with it making sense. And so Burger King was stuck in a weird spot trying to promote because it didn't happen very often. But I mean, McDonald's had just pushed, Batman and Robin the year before with no problem. That was PG-13.
Oh yeah. Oh no, let's not forget Batman Returns. Oh geez.
Yeah. Do you remember? Well, I think the Batman Returns is why some of these places got nervous because it was very pushing the PG-13. Yeah, this is Joe Dante. It was supposed to be his big comeback and DreamWorks' big summer release, besides, Saving Private Ryan. And it didn't connect for whatever reason. I mean, I think it's a passable movie. It's not Dante's upper tier. And if anybody knows, Joe Dante's probably my favorite director. A lot of it is, I feel like the reason they asked him is because first, he could handle the special effects, but two, Gremlins has a similar tone, mayhem and small creatures, whatever. So it feels a little bit like he's phoning it in. I don't feel like it really has his full on push creatively. And I think that's the only thing that really holds this movie back.
That I can agree with. It was pretty much, and regarding the voice casts of either toys, yeah, it was pretty much Spinal Tap versus, oh God, the Dirty Dozen.
Yeah, a lot of those guys show up in it. And of course, Tommy Lee Jones being the big one, and he was in all the promotions. Do you remember when Burger King had the rodeo burger? And they were like, "You can't handle the rodeo burger." And I love that little fucking thing. And way after, like for 15 years after this movie, they kept the rodeo burger.
Yeah, no, it was, I don't know, it was always a good go-to for me. I'm a kid, I'm impressionable.
Yeah, it's got onion ring on it. Nom, 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 nom. Not a total flop, of course. $40 million budget. Lots and lots of practical effects created by Stan Winston, but also like early CGI. There's only a couple scenes where the CGI is really obvious. It made $70 million. That's not terrible. Probably made huge on video, but I feel like it's a little forgotten over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was some like fan film not too long ago where it was like a next gen kind of version of Small Soldiers, almost like a continuation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like hopefully something like that could get revived and get going.
Well, Disney now apparently owns the rights somehow. I don't understand how that even works. It was sold to Fox, but then it went to Disney through the Fox sale. I don't understand because DreamWorks owns the rights and DreamWorks is distributed by Universal, so confused. You could do a $10 million streaming or direct-to-video sequel to this, no problem.
Yeah, and again, when you mentioned the special effects, yeah, they actually held up pretty well. They were really good.
Yeah. I still say Gorgonites, by the way. We all the Gorgonites. I fucking love the voice work in this. And it's just so funny. Like Frank Langella has such a calming voice. What I love about the movie is that it shows the kids like looks can be deceptive. Just because a person looks a certain way or has a certain attitude doesn't mean that they're the good guys. And it really shifts quickly in the movie.
Exactly. Oh God. And Dennis Leary's like attitude at the beginning. It's like, okay, got that ambition, right? He wants those toys to function properly. But of course, Jay Moore ends up getting like munitions chips for these things. So it's like, yeah, that's why they go so haywire.
I didn't realize why Bruce Dern was in this is because Richard Jekyll had died, who was supposed to do that voice. I'm kind of surprised they didn't go with Donald Sutherland for Pete's sake. He was alive. He's got a great voice. Maybe he was.
Absolutely.
He's a Dirty Dozen, one of the few surviving Dirty Dozen guys. Or Charles Bronson. He was still alive. Weird. It's a fun movie. It's very tight in its scope. It's just in like three houses and a toy store, and it's like one of those almost movies for me. What's funny is besides the kids, the big hero of this is David Cross.
Oh yes, absolutely, and of course, nice little Gremlins reference. His password.
Oh yeah, Gizmo. I thought it was awesome that Ann Magnuson as the mom comes in and she's like, she's kicking their ass because she's a really good tennis ball player. No one else really steps up.
Exactly, and she's the one staying calm, like trying to strategize.
Yeah,
and everything. But then she unleashes Phil Hartman, man.
Oh, final performance by Phil Hartman. God, that still sucks so much ass.
I know the year he passed it, but still. Yeah. Again, he definitely gives it his all, like every movie he does. And he's just so funny, especially when he tries to, wave the white flag or talks about, like, while he's showing off his big screen TV, he's talking to his wife saying, he's saying World War II was my favorite war. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, well, I
think it's funny is that he sits there and he goes on and on and on about how great everything is and it's going to be the top of the line. And then he stops and kind of goes, nah, I don't like the grain on this one. Like, son of a bitch.
Exactly, I know. Even though it was hanging into his neighbor's, it was his neighbor's tree when he was cutting off a branch.
Yeah.
That was blocking off his dish. An overly massive dish, no less.
Yeah. What's next?
Oh my God. Okay, now this is definitely the fun one, but man, was this all over the place when it came to like trailers. And honestly, it's definitely something that stays with you if you watched it growing up. There's Something About Mary.
Oh my God.
Farrelly Brothers classic.
Yeah, I was not sure what was going to happen to the Farrelly Brothers after Kingpin. Kingpin was such a disappointing at the box office, even though I absolutely fucking adored it. And I was like, what is their next pivot? And oh my God, if Something About Mary hadn't saved their ass, I don't know where they would have been because, well, here's the problem though, is that it was so big that everything they did after that was expected to be nearly as big, and it never was. They never got to that height before, and they started getting too comfortable with, hey, we can get anything made. So they're getting all these side projects or stuff they're dusting off from the bin, like, what's that one, Next to You or Close to You?
Stuck on You.
Stuck on You. And that was one that just sat on the shelf forever and wasn't good. That's the problem with the success of this, is that they got a lot of crap greenlit afterwards, but it gave them enough grace to continue, and they did make better movies. Like Fever Pitch is pretty good.
Yeah, Fever Pitch is pretty good, and Me, Myself, and Irene.
Yeah, slightly feels a little bit under this. I think that's what people were expecting. Jim Carrey, these guys, and they were expecting like a $200 million movie. Still made a lot of money, and I can't wait to discuss it because it's a fascinating movie. But I think they were licking their wounds and they were fighting harder than they had ever fought before. And the smart move of making a very tightly budgeted comedy with guys who were on the cusp or past their peak. Matt Dillon, fucking revelation. Holy shit. Who thought that Matt Dillon would be so funny? He never played a comedy before, I don't think this.
No, he didn't. He was always serious. And of course, I remember him most from Outsiders.
Yeah, I think maybe The Flamingo Kid was his only lighthearted movie, but I mean, I'm talking silly as shit.
Oh, no, absolutely. Oh, God, especially when he gets the freaking dentures.
Oh, my God. When he's having a conversation with her about how he works with special needs people, but he's not using any PC words at all. And she's like, wait, what? But also, like, she's a little bit of a sucker, honestly.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, she's had some downs, especially when they mention like her latest one, Brett.
Yeah, which you don't realize. By the way, Brett Favre, terrible actor. Holy shit.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and kind of a terrible human being too.
Oh yeah, but
too long ago.
They did that a lot in their movies. They would pick an athlete to show up for a scene, like Brett Camley or whatever his name was. Cam Neely in the first one, then Roger Clemens and Kingpin. They would do that from time to time for some weird reason. They're always terrible. But you're talking like all the cool, funny hit people, Ben Stiller, he had just come off Flirting with Disaster, I think. And, a couple smaller hits like Reality Bites. and they just found something that works so well with him. And then Cameron Diaz, I mean, and before this, she was just kind of the cute victim, girlfriend, whatever, in The Mask. And I don't know what they did, what they found in all of these people. They must have a keen casting agency, or they just know what works. Just finding these oddballs. Like, how do they know Jeff Daniels? Come on, of all people.
Exactly. Yeah, because he was definitely taken more seriously than he was comedy, right?
Yeah, and I noticed a lot of the Farrelly Brother movies that the road trip is always a segment in their movies. Of course, it's a major part of some of their stuff, but even in this, there's a 10-15 minute sequence where Ben Stiller is traveling down south.
Yes, he's going all the way to Miami just to see Mary.
Oh, I kind of love it. Lee Evans coming off of Mouse Hunt is so funny. My name is Marv, man.
Norm.
Oh, Norm, that's it. So, we have
what he did to meet Mary. He had his own back door by his friend.
That's insane. Yeah, Chris Elliott just tapping into the greasiest weasel it could possibly be.
Oh God, yes. Especially at the beginning, like when after Ben Stiller has like a therapy session.
Oh, Richard Jenkins, yeah.
Yeah. Chris Elliott's like, his wife brings him a beer and he's like, hey, do you want cookies or something? It's like, babe, do you want to make cookies for him? Like, kind of a little over-controlling of his wife.
Keith David is hysterical in this, and I don't remember him doing comedy before this either, but he is so outrageous and hysterical. I mean, literally and figuratively, when he finds out, how'd you get the Franklin and the beans or whatever?
That accident, oh my God. That was like talked about for a long time.
Yeah, so I saw this twice in theaters, and each time you watch the entire theater explode in laughter and writhing in pain. I remember this didn't open that big. It got good buzz going for it, and it only opened like at $11 million or something, but then it built. It's one of the few movies to build after it's been a wide release above its initial opening, and it kind of hovered in that $10 to $13 million range for like the next 3 months. So it wasn't one of those like where it opened huge and then slowly filters down. It was just word of mouth like crazy.
Yeah, and I noticed that Farrelly Brothers, but also throughout the movie, there were like some heavy people that you'd seen do stunt work or action movies like in the 80s, like Richard Tyson.
Oh, yeah. That's so weird that he just pops up in this. Oh, and Kingpin. Remember, he's in the bar, the strip club or whatever, and he has an erection, and he can't run after Randy Quaid.
Oh, yeah. And then, of course, this also had Willie Garson, may he rest.
Yeah. Lynn Shay. All of a sudden, everybody knew who Lynn Shay was. It's so funny how there's different eras of her career where she was showing up in little exploitation movies, usually as like, oh, the waitress or the secretary or the cousin. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, she became like the go-to funny lady as like a support. And then like ever since The Conjuring, she's like the go-to like, oh, this lady's a wise sage in the worlds of mysticism. We go to her.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a switch up, but my God, in this movie, that bronze tan.
Yeah. No.
I'm like, oh no, or better yet, like when Matt Dillon's trying to spy on Mary. And then
the fake boobs, yeah.
He switches the micro. It's like, God. There'll always be some kind of like practical little, oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? Prosthetic.
Yeah.
There's always some kind of like crazy prosthetic that'll just like pretty much give you, that'll have me shocked for a little while.
Right. She'll never top for me though. Kingpin when she's in the mirror when Woody Harrelson looks like an absolutely fearless performance by her. I mean, she's always reliable. I love it.
Absolutely. Oh God. One scene that always gets me is when she accidentally takes speed and she's like vacuuming the whole couch and everything.
Yeah. Of course, the whole thing with the dog afterwards is insane. Their movies they ride this dangerous line, and that's what's so fascinating about them, kind of like the way Mel Brooks does it. They touch on stuff that could be very, very wrong if it handled inappropriately. And a lot of elements of their movies, they must have somebody in their family or they worked in that world where they handle special needs people. And they're very delicate in not hoisting them up as like sacred, how they do sometimes with black people, like Morgan Freeman. Oh, he's just, they can't be the bad guy. They can't be flawed. They have to be perfect. The wise old man. Handling special needs people as if they're real people. They make mistakes. They say funny things. Sometimes it's awkward how the interactions are. They did that in The Ringer, in this, Kingpin. What's that one that came out last year they did with Woody Harrelson, the basketball team?
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember.
Winners or something like that. But they ride that line. And yes, they play with fire. They do it all the time, making fun of the Amish, making fun of special needs. Well, not poking fun, but just having fun with them. The one that I think that always was difficult for them was Shallow Hal. Trying to get the point across while not making fun of fat people, but also like fat people are real too. I even when they fail, I embrace their guts to do difficult material.
No, absolutely. I mean, that could be a good point. And also, yeah, as far as like, a portrayal of the special needs like community, again, yeah, there's people there are, yeah, there's people, there are people, as well. I'm trying to make my point across as well.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, representation does matter too.
Yeah, it's nowadays. I'm sure they would not cast W. Earl Brown as her brother. They would cast someone who actually was special needs in that role. I mean, of course, in time evolves. It's been 25 plus years. The way that we do casting, the way that we approach situations is different and more ethical, I guess, if you want to say. Inclusive? Inclusive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say. This thing was a phenomenon, and just watching people lose their minds in the theaters. The cum scene still confuses me as to how he can be in that angle and shoot it not towards the mirror or whatever and then up. How would you not feel that hit your ear? I just don't understand.
I know. I don't either. Oh my God. Again. Yeah, that was a running joke for so long.
I remember when family had seen this, like a bunch of us went to see this at a drive-in. Did I see this 3 times? I think I did. At the drive-in.
Yeah.
And one of the girls, I think she was like a freshman in college, who had taken health classes, she didn't understand what that was. And no one wanted to explain it to her.
You're kidding.
Yeah. None of us wanted to do that. So I don't know when she figured it out or if she ever figured it out. She was so innocent and pure. No one wanted to ruin that for her.
Yeah, no, for real. Oh, God.
This was the first movie, I believe, that Blockbuster, and I was working there at the time of the release. I think I was. At the time of release, it was one of the very first movies they said guaranteed in stock or it's free. So we had an entire wall chunk devoted to, I think we had 200 copies. That's insane. 200 copies. And that first week or two, and people thought you would just get a free movie, and we're like, no. We'll give you a coupon towards something about Mary when it comes in. And they didn't get that. And it was so frustrating. It was like, why did we even do this? Just say we're going to have a ton of copies in. That's it.
Oh, absolutely. Well, again, for real, because it was a high in demand movie and it was just so damn funny. I mean, people couldn't wait for it to get on video.
Yeah. And now it took a while, though. I think it usually by then, see, that came out in July. It should have been on video for Christmas, and it wasn't. I don't think it came out till it was a Valentine's Day release for some reason. It was romantic. You got me why it was romantic. I mean, there's some elements in it. Ben Stiller is awfully sweet in this movie, and the fact that he sacrifices everything just so that she's happy is such a sweet thing to do.
I know, but his performance when he's crying.
Yeah. You know this is my one gripe, and everybody was laughing their ass off every time he showed up, and I thought it was stupid, was the Jonathan Richman stuff. I hate it. I still hate the stuff where he's singing the songs.
Oh, like he's a muse or like, oh gosh.
A troubadour? What do you call that? Not a muse. They used to have it in the old times with a guy with like a mandolin or something. Oh.
Yes. Oh.
A bard.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't care for that. Yeah, and I didn't think his songs were funny, and I didn't think he was a good singer, so I didn't understand that.
Yeah, so it's like you think it was like a gift to the audience, the ones that didn't like him, getting shot at the end.
Yeah, also maybe it was time for a pee break, so I didn't miss any of the good jokes. Yeah. All right, well, I believe that is it. Anything else you want to say before we go?
I think when it came about representation, it did. You mentioning there's something about Mary kind of got me thinking about Terry Gilliam and what he did with Time Bandits.
Yes.
Kind of like the same concept.
I am bothered when it's kind of a newer thing, but when they make just people digitally short is fucking insane to me. You remember that Snow White and the Huntsman when they just cast normal sized people and digitally scrunch them? That's a fucking insane thing to do when there's little people out there that need work in quality films. Disgusting. I hope that the new Time Bandits doesn't do that they go back to, there's a new one, right? Taika Waititi.
Right.
Yeah, there better be little people. I don't want any of this horseshit digital scrunching.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll have to look up the behind the scenes stuff. Like, I have not read anything about it yet.
There's somebody that wanted to know about our podcast, and he says he was listening to something else, and he said, I got too political. And I was like, oof, dude, we're kind of political. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to end my episode with peace in the Middle East. People, stop this.
Exactly, yeah. Ceasefire now.
Yes. All right, Jacob, you want to set us out?
All right, namaste and good luck, everybody. Be excellent to each other.
And you know what? I can't say the party on, dude. It's a weird time. Let's not party on. Let's focus and make the world better. Keep hope alive. There we go. Keep hope alive.